Chapter 2: The Landing in North Hudson Park. So Budd Hopkins lived in a studio in Manhattan, and there was a liquor store near his studio, and one of the owners was George Obarski, and he was 72 years old. And one night he closed his liquor store, and he was doing some work, and then he was gonna drive home. And he was driving through a park, and then he saw something. So he was driving through North Hudson Park, and he sees a low, brilliantly lit object that passed his car 100 feet or so to his left. And he heard like a quiet humming from the object, and it was like a craft. And the craft stopped by a playing field in the park. And George was driving, and he saw it. He got a closer look at it. And it was roundish and 30 foot long. And it was hovering above the ground by like 10 feet. And this object had vertical windows. And there was like a panel that opened between two windows, and like a little ladder came out of it. And then like a small group of figures went down the ramp into the ground, and they were like 3.5 to 4 feet tall, and they were either hooded or they had like helmets and a one-piece suit. And George said that they looked like kids in snowsuits, but he couldn't like take a look at their faces. And he was really scared. His car kept moving slowly, and the figures did not pay attention to him. Each of the figures carried some type of tool, kind of like a spoon, and they had a little bag with a handle. And when they came down the ladder, they were fast. And what they did is they were digging in the ground, and they were putting the dirt on their backs. Once they finished doing that, they went back inside the UFO, and the UFO ascended. And George was around 60 feet from this event. And the whole event lasted like 4 minutes. George got home, and he was really scared. That he usually watched TV and a movie late at night, but he was too scared to leave the lights of his apartment on. So he went to bed, and he put the covers of his bed over his head because he was that scared, because he thought that the world was gonna end. The next morning, George went back to the park to where the UFO was, and he noticed that on the ground there were about 15 little holes, and the holes were like 4 or 5 inches deep. So he was telling this story to Budd Hopkins, and Budd Hopkins was recording him. So Budd Hopkins located other people that saw the UFO, and the time of the UFO match. So this made George more disturbed because there was other accounts matching his own account. And Budd Hopkins was saying that when people witness UFO sightings, they try to rationalize and explain away their encounters because they don't want to believe that they are seeing UFOs or aliens. They don't want to believe it because it's just too much. And George did the same thing. He was thinking that the CIA did that. But then he was thinking like, it doesn't make... He was thinking that the CIA has some type of spacecraft that will move like this. But it doesn't make sense for the CIA to like bring a craft to a park and just have like 15 people get out of the craft, take soil samples, get back to the UFO, and fly away. That doesn't make sense because they could just know how to do such a thing. They could just send agents to get the soil samples. And another thing that was brought up was that this craft just made like a low humming noise. And George was saying that all the aircrafts that he has seen throughout his life, that they're noisy, like airplanes and air balloons and things like that. They're noisy. But this was very quiet, like a low humming noise. So after George was done telling Budd Hopkins about the story, Budd Hopkins realized that he needed to locate an investigator that had more experience dealing with the matter. So he located Ted Blocker, which was the New York State Director of MUFON. So Ted came to Budd Hopkins' studio to listen to the tape that Budd Hopkins made about George's account. And in the tape it says that George was looking underneath the craft because he was expecting to see a fan that was propelling the craft, but he didn't see anything like that. So he just didn't know how the craft was moving. It was just making like a little hum, kind of like the refrigerator hum. So then Ted Blocker brought another UFO investigator, and the three of them, along with Budd Hopkins, went to meet with George just to get more information. And they actually went to the park where the event took place. And the park was a field. This happened in a field that is used for football and softball. And this is like on New York, like on Manhattan, near Manhattan. Like the New York Times building is like 4 miles where this happened. And while they were at the park, they actually spoke to a park custodian, and they asked him about the hole. They asked him about the holes in the soil, if he has seen anything like that. And he did remember that on the summer he had to like refill many holes in that area, but he didn't know what caused the holes. He was thinking that maybe like some dog did that. But this corroborates George's account about the figures making holes in the ground.